we have already learned how to find the number of possible ways to rearrange the order using permutations. We're going to introduce today is what are combinations and what the difference between the two are. So I kind of want to go backwards just a moment and remind you what a permutation is. A permutation is a way to select a group of objects in which the order is important. And the formula you've been introduced to is right down here. NPR, it's the number of total items, and then the taken is the R, how many you're going to take out. So here would be an example of a permutation. We give you the word square, and we want you to figure out how many different ways can you rearrange the order of these 6 letters. And so, square is one way, and I'm not going to list them all off, because that would take us a long time. So we're going to go ahead and say, how many letters do we have? We have 6 letters. So it would be 6 factorial, or 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And then we would multiply those numbers together. We also have taught you how to use the graphing calculator. In the graphing calculator, it would look like this. 6p, and you're choosing 6. Or in your graphing calculator, you can choose 6 factorial. So I'll give you a minute to try that with your calculator. One of those methods. And you get 720 different ways. Now let's change it up a minute here. Question 2. Using the letter square again, how many different ways can you rearrange the order, and with the first letter being a vowel? With the first letter being a vowel. So if we imagine, here's our 6 letters, and if we have the word square, A is a vowel, E is a vowel, and U is a vowel. So you have 3 vowels. All right, so if we look at the first place, we can choose 3 of them. So now we've chosen one. Now we have 2 left. Then we have 5 left, 4 left, 3 left, 2 left, and 1. So we multiply 3 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Remember, this one had to be the vowel. So you had to choose one, and then you had 5 left. So the answer that we get is smaller. It's 360 different ways than before, when we had no restrictions, any letter works. All right, now let's introduce our new item, the definition of a combination. A combination is a group of items in which order does not matter. There are generally fewer ways to select items when the order does not matter. So we have to remember this right here. Order does not matter. So here's an example. There are 6 ways to order 3 items, but they are all the same combination. So if we look at the letters A, B, and C, and we did an example of this earlier in our lesson notes for permutations, we have the letters A, B, C. If we rearrange the order, we get 6 different permutations. But in a combination, we only get one choice. These are one combination. Once I've used A, B, and C, I can't reuse it like these 5 here. There's only one combination. When decide whether to use a permutation or combination, first decide whether order is important. Use a permutation if order matters, and a combination if order does not matter. Very important there. All right, this is just a little way to explain the formulas that I'm going to give you on the next slide. If you remember, permutations is the total number of ways to arrange all the items and the ways that the items are not selected. And then for the combination formula is the ways to arrange all the items, the ones that are selected, and the ones that are not selected. So if we head to this slide here, This is an example on the left and the formula on the right. So we're going to make sure you write down this formula right here. So the N is the total number of items, and the R is how many you're going to take at one time. And notice the formula is a little bit different than the permutation. So here's an example on the left. If we have 7 total items like horses, and we want to have 3 of them chosen, and we can't choose those same 3 again. We don't care if the order matters. Then we would use this formula here. So looking at the difference between the two. Be careful if you choose in your graphing calculator, and I'll show you that later, NPR or NCR. They are different. So I've already showed you how to do the NPR. So notice the difference between this problem and that problem. All right, let's go ahead and try one of these problems. So we have 12 different colored cubes in a bag. How many different ways can Randall draw a set of 4 cubes? It doesn't matter the order in which you grab the cubes. So we're going to use the combination formula. So the total is 12, combination, and we're choosing 4 cubes at one time. So we plug it into the formula, 12 factorial over 4 factorial is how many you choose, and then 12 minus 4 factorial. Now we have to simplify that denominator, so 12 factorial over 4 factorial, and you notice 12 minus 4 is 8 factorial. I'm going to teach you the way to do this where you're going to have to reduce some factorials out. So I'm going to go 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. I'm going to stop at 8 factorial. The reason why I'm stopping at 8 factorial is if I look at my denominator, I have an 8 factorial and then a 4 factorial. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of this 8 factorial. So now we're down to 12 times 11 times 10 times 9. And now that 4 factorial is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now you could just go ahead and throw these into your calculator and divide, or you can look at some common factors. Well, here's a 4 and a 3, which is a 12, so I can cancel out that 12. I can also reduce these two by a 2, so I'm left with a 5. So it becomes a little shorter of multiplying. So we're going to go ahead and multiply 11 times 5 times 9, and we get 495 divided by 1. So there are 495